Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome all the members to the 20th Annual General Meeting. I hope all of you are healthy and safe. This meeting is being held through video conferencing in accordance with the circular issued by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and SEBI. For safety reasons, each of us are in different location. Before we start the main proceedings of the meeting, I would like to introduce my colleagues who have joined through video conference. Let me first introduce Deshpande. Desh, can you introduce yourself?
I'm Gururaj Deshpande. I'm based in Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm very pleased to be joining the annual general body meeting.
Thank you, Desh. Mr. Bhave?
I'm Chandrasekhar Bhave, joining the meeting from Bangalore from my residence. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Leela?
I'm Leela Ponappa, joining the meeting from my home in Greater Noida on the outskirts of Delhi. Glad to be here in Tejas' 20th year.
Thank you. Now Sanjay.
This is Sanjay Nayak, CEO and MD of the company, and I'm delighted to join the board meeting in the AGM from our corporate office in Bangalore.
Thank you, Sanjay. Arnav? Arnav?
I'm sorry. Hi, I'm Arnav Roy. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Tejas Networks. I'm joining from the Tejas headquarters in Electronic City, Bangalore.
Thank you, Arnav. Gadia?
I'm Pankaj Gadia, CFO. I'm attending this meeting from the Registrar Office, Electronic City, Bengaluru.
Thanks, Gadia. Ravi?
Good evening. This is Ravi Krishnan, Company Secretary joining from Bangalore.
Thank you. I do confirm that the Chairperson of the Audit Committee, Mr. Bhave, and Chairperson of Stakeholders Committee, Mr. Deshpande, are present for the meeting through video conferencing. I also confirm that the statutory auditors, PwC, the Secretarial Auditor, Dwaraknath, and internal auditors, Singdev and Muni, are also present in the meeting through video conferencing. We have the requested forum present through video conference to conduct the proceedings of the meeting. Participation of members through video conference is being reckoned for the purpose of quorum as per the circulars issued by MCA and Section 103 of the Companies Act 2013. The quorum being present, I call this meeting to order. I now request Ravi Krishnan, Company Secretary, to provide general instruction to the members regarding participation in this meeting. Ravi.
Good evening, everyone. Members may note that this annual general meeting is being held through video conference in accordance with the Companies Act 2013 and the circulars issued by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and SEBI. Facilities for joining this meeting through video conference or other audiovisual means is made available for the members on first come and first service basis. The company has also provided webcast facility to view the live proceedings of this annual general meeting on the company's website. The Register of Directors and the key managerial personnel of the Register of Contracts or Arrangements has been made available electronically for inspection by the members during AGM. Members seeking to inspect such documents send the request to agm@tejasnetworks.com. As the AGM is being held through video conference, the facility for the appointment of proxies by the members is not applicable, and hence a proxy register for inspection is not available. The company has received requests from few members to register them as speakers at the meeting. Accordingly, the floor will be open for these members to ask questions or express their views. The moderator will facilitate the session once the chairman opens the floor for questions and answers. It may be noted that the company reserves the right to limit the number of members asking questions depending upon the availability of time at the AGM. The company has provided a facility to cast votes electronically on all resolutions set forth in the notice. Members who have not cast their votes electronically and who are participating in this meeting will have an opportunity to cast their votes during the meeting through the e-voting system provided by NSDL. Members can click on Vote tab on the video conference screen to avail this feature. Members are requested to refer to the instructions provided in the notice or appearing on the video conference page for a seamless participation through video conference. In case members face any difficulty, they may reach out on helpline numbers. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ravi. The company has taken all feasible efforts under the current circumstance to enable members to participate through video conference and also vote at the AGM. I thank all the members, colleagues of the board, auditors, and the management team for joining this meeting over video conference. I hope all of you are safe and are in good health. Let me start the proceedings with the chairman's speech. Good afternoon, shareholders. I welcome you all to the 20th Annual General Meeting of your company. On behalf of the Board of Directors of Tejas, I thank you all for joining us today. The recent pandemic caused by COVID-19 has resulted in a new normal. And for the first time, we are connecting with you all over video conference. In this current situation, when we all are working remotely, I can proudly mention that Tejas is one of the enablers of remote connectivity, since it provides the telecom equipment required for building such robust networks, which can handle the sudden surge in network demand. Fiscal year 2020 was a challenging year for us, with both the revenue and profitability declining due to challenges in the telecom sector in our country, which was accentuated by the COVID-19 crisis, which happened in Q4. Our revenue declined by 56.7%, while the gross margins declined to 35.6% of the net revenues. Consequently, we made a net loss of 237.12 crores. With delay in collection of receivables from certain large PSU accounts, our receivable days also increased. The silver lining last year was our strong cash position of 280 crores combined with our zero debt position. The uncertainties related to COVID-19 are difficult to predict, but we clearly see new opportunities opening up in front of us. We already started witnessing the wave of enhanced culture of work from home, video conferencing, video streaming, and video calling applications, coupled with emergence of new technologies like 5G. Post-COVID-19, significant growth is expected in fiber-based home broadband, leading to greater investment by telcos, and also internet service providers to keep pace with the huge growth in network traffic. From where I see, this definitely looks like one of the best spaces coming for the telecom industry across the globe, which could be beneficial to our business. We also aim to increase our international sales and reach close to 50% of our revenues from export markets in the next 2 to 3 years. We have increased our investments and are gaining traction in Southeast Asia, Africa, Middle East, and North America. We're also seeing new opportunities coming our way as our global customers look to de-risk and diversify their supply chain investment in the wake of new geopolitical environment. As a leading pure-play telecom product company from India, we're also well positioned to capitalize on the opportunities opening up due to Government of India's focus to create Atmanirbhar Bharat. We have also taken several steps to reduce our costs, refocus our investments, and be relevant in the new normal. We are facing a global pandemic today, and it has made the life of people in general tough and challenging. However, as quoted by Helen Keller, character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through experience of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, ambition inspired, and success achieved. Every person today working for Tejas is fully geared to face this trial with perseverance and come out triumphant. On behalf of the Board of Directors of Tejas Network, I thank the Government of India, Government of Karnataka, all government agencies, governments of various countries where we have business operations, and look forward to the continued support. I am also grateful to our customers, employees, shareholders, suppliers, and bankers, all of whom have supported us during these challenging times. We are more relevant today to our customers than in the past. We are confident that our strategy will help us to tap new opportunities in front of us and get back to growth path very soon. I now invite Sanjay Naik, the CEO and MD of your company, to address the shareholders. Sanjay?
Thank you, Bala. Before I start my presentation, I would like to share that this is a very important milestone for your company. This is the year we have completed 20 years of our existence. And to share what has happened in the past 20 years, the excitement that's gone by, I would like to share a small video that summarizes our 20-year journey. Thank you. As you could see that we've had a very exciting journey over the last 20 years. Now I would like you to kind of put up my presentation so that I can walk you through what holds for the future for our company. To give you a quick sense of the summary of the achievement that we had in the last 20 years. As you would have seen, we have as a company done cumulative revenues of more than $1 billion. We've done exports of more than $400 million. Our equipment is deployed in more than 75 countries around the world. We have 15 offices worldwide. We are among the top 10 in optical aggregation and number 1 in this business in India. We have shipped more than 500,000 systems to more than 500 networks around the world. Our R&D investments cumulatively have crossed 1,000 crores, and we are selected by many top 10 global operators in the world. We've won several awards for innovation and entrepreneurship. We have more than 345 patents and more than 300 silicon IPs. In summary, we have been one of those flag bearers for design and make in India for the world. And as a company, we are the first deep tech startup which went public in India. Coming to summarizing the last year in terms of FY20, as Bala said, it was a challenging year for the company. We were really impacted by the sectoral challenges in the telecom sector in India. And as a result, because our dependence on India revenues was 79% of total, that portion declined 63% year on year. And the primary reason there was the government business, because of all the economic challenges and all the other things which are happening in terms of the large operators the government own, that part of the business really shrunk significantly. It was 88% year on year down. The India private business was also down in the fourth quarter of the year, especially after the adverse judgment on the AGR issues and the hyper competition that happened in the sector. International also declined, primarily because in Q4, which is traditionally a big quarter for us, got hit by COVID. So the combination of all of those things resulted in FY20 revenues being very low. Correspondingly, since a lot of our operating costs, other than the material costs, are manpower related, which are quasi-fixed in nature, we had a PBT loss of 138 crores, and taking other losses like the R&D impairment, including loss for capitalized work and R&D capitalized, we had a total loss which was much larger. In terms of balance sheet, it was a strong balance sheet. We still have 280 crores of cash and cash equivalents. We are a zero debt company. In addition, we have 252 crores of inventory, which will be used during the financial year 21, which is the current year. Trade receivables are 456 crores, but we expect to collect a large part of them during the current financial year. In summary, as the quarter goes by, as the year progresses, we should be able to really make better, cash in the bank and strengthen our balance sheet further. Our R&D focus continued. We launched multiple award-winning products which have been recognized in the world. For example, the world's largest multi-terabit packet switch, which is pay-as-you-grow architecture, which is a very unique architecture. Similarly, for instance, we were the equipment providers for rolling out the world's largest public Wi-Fi network, which covered more than 4,000 railway stations within the country on our unique GPON technology. In terms of the financial trends, the revenue, as you saw last year, went down, and correspondingly, the profit went down. Because of a lower revenue base and delays from one particular large PSU customer, our working capital increased significantly. In terms of expenses, as you can see, the R&D expenses were almost flat. So we continued to believe in R&D and we've invested. The SG&A expenses and the other expenses were marginally down, and cash and cash equivalent, as I said, we still had 280 crores of cash in the bank. However, whatever has happened. When I look at where things are today, we see a very exciting future. Today, we are in the age of digital living, working and learning. A lot of us are working from home. A lot of our children are studying from home with online classes and offline as well as online classes. Over-the-top entertainment in the form of streaming videos is pretty much a part of everybody's daily life. We're talking of telemedicine, remote healthcare, automated manufacturing, and the whole digitization of economy. And all of this is going to get further accelerated by 5G, which is impending, which will have a disruptive impact on a society as well as economies for the next 10 or 20 years. So this is the exciting time that we are living in today. COVID-19 has actually accelerated digital adoption. If you really see what has happened in the past 4 months, there has been 10x increase in video conferencing, more than 40% increase in the video traffic, and more than 200% increase in gaming traffic. In terms of where things are heading, Today in 2019, we had 1.7 zettabytes per year of data in the world, which is being consumed on internet. That is expected to grow 244% to 5.7 zettabytes per year in the next 5 years. And just to put things in perspective, 1 zettabyte equals 1 trillion gigabytes. So this is the kind of data which is flowing in the network. And that is why we really need to make sure that the networks are going to be adding into the capacities. And this is leading to an increasing demand for optical and broadband equipment. That part of the industry that we address is a $15 billion industry for optical network going to $18 billion. For fiber to the home, which is the GPON or the home broadband segment, which is another segment of our business, a $6 billion industry globally is going to $7.6 billion. And fixed wireless access, which is where we have made the base stations, which can do 4G and 5G, is going to start with a small base of $0.2 billion going to $2 billion over the next 5 years. So essentially what I'm saying is that we are in an industry which is growing. We are in an industry which really requires a lot of equipment, and it is really an opportunity that lies ahead of us. So what's our growth strategy? So we have 3 very important pillars for our growth. Number 1, we had a situation last year where because of the India dependency of our revenues, we had a bad year because the Indian economic and the Indian telecom sector went through a tough time. We really do not want that situation to be repeated. So we really have been focusing on international business, and we expect international to be more than 50% of our total revenue in the medium term. Second, we're going to be really focusing on the growth of data and broadband in India. If you have seen, India still has a lot of mobile broadband subscribers, but the home broadband connectivity or high-speed connectivity on fiber optics is still very low. We are less than 2% of the homes in the country which are currently having a high-speed fiber optic connection. It is expected that that will go by 50 times over the next 3 or 4 years. We see a very large opportunity opening up there. The whole clarion call of Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is so relevant in current times, is something that we really can play a big role, and that can provide a very strong tailwind for our business. The third is product differentiation through innovation and R&D. We've really been investing significantly in R&D. We have a very unique approach of building products, which is software-defined hardware. And as the networks and the equipment is progressing, there's more and more software element into our telecom equipment, which is a sweet spot for a country like India and a company like Tejas. And we really think that that's something we're going to be expanding our product portfolio as well. So let me go down one step further into each of the 3 elements of our growth strategy. We have decided that rather than going to all the different markets in the world, we're going to be focusing on 3 different geographies. First, Africa and Middle East. Second, South and Southeast Asia. And third is North America. These 3 markets together represent $8.4 billion worth of addressable market for us. Southeast Asia and Africa in particular are India-like markets, which basically means that success in India can easily be replicated in those markets. US, including North America, including US and Mexico, is another market which has a very different geopolitical system, which is very favorable to a company like us. So the 3 together provide us a great opportunity where we have the right products, we have a favorable environment where customers want to diversify their supply chain risk. They don't want to bet all the equipment coming from one country. And I think we are really playing very well into that kind of a situation. Secondly, in terms of India, India represents about $1 billion market for us. If you see these fiberized cell towers in India are only 25%, which is expected to grow 60% because without fiber going to cell towers, you will not have a good broadband connection. And with 4G and 5G being really the play in town in future, this is going to happen. Second, mobile broadband subscribers are still going to grow, and the fixed broadband subscribers or wireline or a home broadband, as we call it, has a significant amount of growth left there. From an Indian government business, which was very bad last year, we think that the preference to make in India and the Atmanirbhar project, Atmanirbhar Bharat project, these are all things which are going to lead into significant business opportunities for us. The mission of the government to extend broadband to all villages in the country by 2022, and with 500,000 subscribers in the villages, which will be the rollout of Digital India, again is a great opportunity for us. In the private sector telcos, home broadband and enterprise broadband connectivity is going to be a very high ARPU and a very profitable business for the operators. we have the equipment to supply to enable those home broadband connections and on enterprise broadband connections. Third part is again critical infrastructure, which is another area where all the electricity, power, defense, smart city, all of these utility companies are getting automated. They all have a very high capacity network and they're modernizing the networks. We have the dominant share of all the telecom equipment in these sectors and we'll continue from there. The third piece of our growth strategy is the R&D and innovation piece. Over the last 5 years, we have been systematically expanding our product portfolio. We started out as an optical transmission company, which was providing backbone networks for cities and so on and so forth. In the last few years, we have expanded that to address the broadband access segment. So for example, the home broadband segment or fiber to the home segment. One good example of a network rollout that we did was BharatNet, where more than 75,000 villages which are connected out of the 100,000 villages run on Tejas equipment. The same technology with the next generation upgrades will be offered via private operators in India to home broadband customers as well. The second, enterprise connectivity on Ethernet switches and routers. A lot of the critical infrastructure of the country, the defense network, the mission critical networks of electricity companies and power companies and railways and so on, again run on Tejas equipment, which are secured, trusted equipment that can be used for running this critical infrastructure. At the core of the network, as the capacities go from gigabits to terabits, we also need higher capacity switches, which can basically carry all the data which is being generated in the country, and again for which we have expanded to create the world's largest multi-terabit switch. The good part is the ownership, control of all hardware, all software, all design, all intellectual property, and 100% of the manufacturing is done in India. And this is something which is completely advantageous for the country. With more than 1,000 crores of R&D investments, this is a very tough industry to build, and 20 years of our experience and our creativity is going to come into picture. And with more than 50% of our investment in terms of employee strength in R&D, we really think we are well positioned to expand the portfolio and to cater to a large part of all the telecom equipment that India needs or many of the countries in the world need. If you really see the places where our products are competitive compared to global people, home and office broadband connectivity on GPON technology, which you will see going and becoming very, very popular in India. We have among the most competitive products in the world in terms of critical infrastructure, which is what powers the networks of defense, oil and gas, railways, electricity companies, smart cities. Again, we have one of the best technology portfolio for any company in the world. For metro capacity expansion, we have again technology which allows you to have gigabits or terabits of things, and 5G ready backhaul. When all the base stations will be upgraded to 5G, you need to backhaul a lot of data and traffic from there. And again, we have the technology which is ready for this. We have really created award-winning products which have got global recognition, global customer success, and we are really confident that going forward, all of these things and all these investments are going to be coming into good business use. In summary, if I were to say what have we accomplished and where do we stand today, so at a macro picture and macro angle, the data growth in the world is a very strong driver for our business. Work from home, learn from home, and all the other things which are happening are all positive signs for our industry and our business. Telcos are really going to be going into a long capex cycle over the next 3 to 5 years because they've got to make investments into wireline broadband, which is home broadband, and all the enterprises getting higher speeds, as well as the impending 5G infrastructure. We have been making sustained R&D investments, and we really have expanded the product portfolio. Earlier, we were only an optical transmission company. Now we've got fiber access to home, and we also have now built our base stations so that we can give 4G and 5G services on our own products. We have continued to increase our focus on international, which we believe will be more than 50% of our revenues in the medium term. And the whole emerging geopolitical situation, customers are really wanting to diversify their risk. And we, as a secured, trusted supplier of equipment from a very neutral country in the world, really have a great advantage in that scenario. India itself, after having seen the worst in the telecom sector in the past year, hopefully will be in a growth mode for data, home broadband, and really the Atmanirbhar Bharat that we are all planning to create. And we, again, have strengths in playing into all the segments that constitute that growth opportunity for us. In terms of the COVID-19, I must say, and I must really thank the entire team in the company who's really stepped up. All our customers have got uninterrupted support. We've been able to offer 99.9999% uptime for our networks. All our R&D lab manufacturing operations are fully up to speed, and really feel that despite the challenges that we've had, we have stepped up to the game. In the short term or the near term, we will have uncertainties. There could be delays in terms of customer orders, which can impact quarter-wise financial performance. But from a longer-term angle, as I described earlier, we seem to be in a good sweet spot. In terms of the balance sheet, because after all of this, you do need cash in the bank. You need to have a healthy position. Again, we are in a very strong position where we have zero debt. We have 280 crores of cash, and we are well covered to invest for all the growth opportunities that lie ahead for us. At this point in time, I really wanted to thank all the shareholders, all the investors, venture capitalists, and the private equity people who were with us before we went IPO, all the public market investors who have come after them. And I really believe that as a combination, all the factors which are lining up right now, the opportunities we have created for ourselves by investing in R&D, by investing in international sales, and being really the leading technology company in the telecom sector in India, we actually have a great opportunity and great future ahead of our company. And we really look forward to taking advantage of those and executing flawlessly to take this company to great heights in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay. Now I request Ravi, Company Secretary, to provide a summary of the auditor's report. Ravi?
Thank you, sir. The statutory auditors, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Chartered Accountants, and Secretarial Auditors Dwarakanath have expressed unqualified opinion in the respective auditors' report for the financial year 2019-20. There are no qualification, observations, or adverse comments on the financial statements and matters which have any material bearing on the functioning of the company. The statutory auditors' report on the standalone financial statements and the consolidated financial statements are available in the annual report. The second audit report is also enclosed as Annexure 5 to the board's report of the annual report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravi. As the notice is already circulated to all the members, with the consent of the members, I take the notice convening the meeting as read. Before we proceed, I am pleased to bring to your notice that as required under the Companies Act 2013, the company had provided you all the facility to cast your vote electronically on all resolutions set forth in the notice. Members who have not cast a vote electronically and who are participating in this meeting will have an opportunity to cast their votes through the e-voting system provided by NSDL. Members may please note that there will be no voting by show of hands. Further, members can seek clarifications and offer comments on items of business, if any. Mr. Sri Dwarakanath, Company Secretary in practice, has been appointed as a scrutinizer for the e-voting process. The results of the poll shall be placed on the company's website. Also, the scrutinizer's report will be placed on the website of the company and on service provider's website within 48 hours from the conclusion of the AGM. We now take up the resolutions as set forth in the notice. I will open the floor for any questions by members after all the resolutions are tabled. And remember that we are not taking hand vote here, so I will just read the resolutions. The first resolution is on adoption of accounts. The financial statements of the company, including the consolidated financial statements for the year ended March 31, 20, including the reports of the Board of Directors and Auditors, have already been provided to the members. The second resolution is on reappointment of Dr. Gururaj Deshpande as a director who is liable to retire by rotation. The third resolution is a continuation of directorship of Ambassador Leela K. Ponnappa as an independent director of the company. The text of the resolutions, along with the explanatory statement, is provided in the notice circulated to all the members. The proposal is to continuation of directorship of Ambassador Leela K. Ponnappa as independent director for a remainder of her term and to authorize to the Board of Directors of the company to do all such deeds, acts and things to give effect to the aforesaid resolution. Now I request Ravi to give some things to the shareholders.
Dear shareholders, thank you for joining the 20th AGM today and for taking time to participate in today's AGM. Before we go live with the question answer sessions, there are some points to note for your convenience. Kindly turn on your video when you are projected on the broadcast screen. Kindly unmute yourself and proceed to ask the question. Please mention your name, folio number, and the location from where you are joining. Each shareholder will have 2 minutes for the questions. To avoid a repetition, the board will respond to all the questions at the end. Once you have asked all your questions, you can log off and continue to watch the proceedings. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Now the floor is open for questions.
We now request Mr. Abhishek, a speaker shareholder who had requested the company to ask the management of the company certain questions. Mr. Abhishek.
Yes, madam. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'll start my video. My name is Abhishek, shareholder of the company. My DP ID IN301637 and client ID is 4135 and 9155. First of all, I congratulate the management on the eve of 20th annual general body meeting. Sir, I have some few observations, clarifications and grievances in the balance sheet, which I would like to go by page number wise. In page number 2, we can see our revenue has dropped from 876 crores to 379 crores. It is an enormous drop. And gross profit, we can see it is 135 crores this year versus 366 crores previous year. So that is also being dropped. And EPS, we can see minus 25.76. So what steps have been taken by the management to increase our EPS? The annual report is really excellent and the details provided are very transparent and designed in an excellent manner by providing algorithms, flowcharts, images, etc. Sir, in page number 54, we have our subsidiary company, Tejas Communication Singapore, and other two also have been provided. So what is the dividend or any interest we receive from the subsidiary company?
Next one.
In this, during this pandemic situation, the management would have thought of reconsidering or sacrificing the remuneration at least for 3 to 4 months in order to arrive at a profit. And when shareholders get a at least a meager dividend, at that point of time, even our remuneration can be increased. Sir, if you would have reconsidered your remuneration, you would have not incurred losses this year. Sir, page number 118, we can see number of shareholders 26,433. So how many shareholders have attended the AGM today and what is the quorum required? Page number 118, a very big correction is in the stock price. We can see from 52-week high, that is 206 rupees, it has been dropped to 30 and now it is traded around 50 rupees. Instead of our money appreciating in the market, it is being depreciated. Sir, and page number 132, we have intangible assets, that is 32.77 crores. So who evaluated the intangible assets, sir? An auditor or a technical expert? Because an auditor cannot evaluate the intangible assets. So page number 137 and 138, we have contingent liabilities and dispute pending with various departments like income tax, central excise and Karnataka value-added tax. So what measures, and these are pending since 2000 and 2001. So what measures and steps have been taken by the management to arrive at a compromise or settlement so that as soon as possible the disputes may be settled? And have you thought of making use of the Pradhan Mantri Yojana in which most of the disputes are getting settled and at a very earlier stage? So then other expenses.
Thank you so much for your question, sir. After we receive all the questions from all the shareholders, we shall revert to you. Thank you so much, sir.
But I have not finished now, madam. I have not finished.
So due to lack of time. Okay, so you may continue.
See, 365 days you have run the show. I have around 5-6 shareholders in my family. I am only one registered. I am only going to speak.
Okay, continue.
Continue, sir.
Continue.
Other expenses for business promotion, our company has spent 2.80 crores. So promotional activities, what are the promotional activities done during the year? Legal and professional charges, it is 8.5 crores. So every year we are spending a lot of legal charges. So what, any legal issues being faced by the company during 2019-20? Bad debts written off. So what is the reason and why we were not in a position to recover? CSR we have spent generously, that is around 2 crore rupees we have spent. So this year, hope that the company is going to spend towards the pandemic COVID 2019. And since Tamil Nadu government is affected more when we compare to Karnataka, so dedicate some funds towards the state of Tamil Nadu as a relief for COVID 2019. So then some few clarifications that what is the real impact of COVID 2019 in percentage in our company, and where you see the light in the end of the tunnel, what will be the growth triggers in first half and second half? The coronavirus and the subsequent lockdowns have left virtually no industry untouched after the COVID. How many employees we have sacked, hired, and salary cut in percentage, if any? What are the cost cutting initiatives management has taken up, and any salary cut taken by the management? What efforts we are taking to increase our ROC, EBITDA, and interest coverage ratio? So then why don't we arrange a on call and increase our company's image through investor relation exercise and by meeting global investors? What steps have been taken by the management in past 2-3 years? So then please give us the details of the parties in other current and non-current liabilities in order to make us understand, and our CS can also arrange a video call with our legal head in order to learn the perspective in detail. Any of my few queries left over, I will drop an email and get it clarified later also. Thank you for giving the opportunities.
Thank you. Thank you for asking so many questions. Thank you. Next.
One second. We now request Indrajit Shah, sir. Indrajit Shah, sir. Mr. Indrajit?
Join.
He's joined.
Mr. Indrajit, are you there? No.
Due to technical errors, so we are unable to connect you. So maybe we'll get back to you through email and personally address your questions. Thank you so much, sir. We now have Mr. Muralidhar. Mr. Muralidhar, sir.
Yeah, hello. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. I'm Muralidhar Reddy, heading Apurva IT Solution, which is a system integrator. We deal with the defense and public sector units. And my client ID DPID is IN 3015495 6758920. First of all, congratulations to all the team. I'm very proud of you. Tejas, an Indian company investing around 1,000 crore in R&D. A big claps to all of you.
Thank you.
And my question and my special thanks to Mr. Lakshminarayana, because I was just trying to figure out to connect to you, and he was very helpful. That shows the kind of people, great people you have. Thanks you, Lakshminarayana, sir. And my questions, I think Abhishek has asked a lot of questions, so my questions will be few. One is, you got an order from Bell, which is really exciting. There is a 60 crore, and you say that there is a strategic partnership. I want to understand what is the time frame for the execution of this order. One. Two is, what do you mean by strategic partnership with them? My question number two is, recently I attended AGM of Reliance. Mukesh Ambani sir was telling about 5G and they are doing that. So are we the OEMs of Reliance, or are they competitor if they are doing some equipment? This is an important question as an investor. And third one, like we see, Ericsson, Nokia and all are our competitors. So how are we pitted on patents against them? Are we 30% of them, 20% of them are really good? And now, I repeatedly come across Tejas very confident on BSNL. Whenever I see your data, when I read, this BSNL comes across. Why are you so confident of winning BSNLs? I think recently Chennai is getting retender Is that because of Atmanirbhar Bharat you are so confident? And if so, are we the only people under Atmanirbhar? And when I have gone through all the things, I haven't seen much of the work they just done with DRDO. So I can be of great help because I have spent 22 years with just DRDO. I can really give you some inputs if you really are interested in that. And as I said, you are really doing a great job. And you have been talking about inventories of 238 crores recently, which you submitted to BSE. So why do you have this inventory? Is that against some orders? That's what I want to understand. Or is that you are keeping some stock with you? And you have been repeatedly telling that your debit free. That's very good, sir. But the repetition is too many times. I'm telling as if we don't have anything except that. That's what I get a feeling. It's a great mark, but everywhere you see debit free, debt free. Debt free is the one thing which I come across. That focuses too much on the news, that's on the presentations everywhere. But what is that? We have cash, 272 crores. Not too big. If you remove 50% for your R&D, you don't even cover 1 year expenditure. That's a really worrisome. So these are the things which I want to really understand. But again, I'm telling you, I'm really proud of this company and I want to be transparent. And if I can do some value to you, I'll be very proud to be. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very nice. That's it. So Sanjay, will you answer?
So yeah, I can answer. So there were a lot of questions asked. So I will try to summarize some of the questions into a broader theme and maybe address hopefully a lot of the sub questions that were asked so far. Let me start with the broader question that was asked, that what went wrong last year which got reflected in the financial performance, and what is the company doing today to really turn that around and go forward. So if you really see, as I mentioned in my presentation earlier, last year was an exceptional year in terms of things that went wrong. In fact, prior to last year, we did significantly good amount of revenues and profit, but last year was an exceptionally wrong year. Two things really happened in India, and India, unfortunately, was a large part of our total revenues, around 80% the year before. So in India, because of the government business almost coming down to zero for BSNL and other BharatNet projects, critical infrastructure getting delayed because of the economic slowdown, and the second half of the year, the India private segment was really hit pretty badly because of all the regulatory headwinds and the Supreme Court judgments and so on. So the combination of all of these things hit us pretty bad in India. While we've been investing in international, it does take time. And in Q4, when we started to get good traction, the COVID situation hit us. Net, a lot of things which could go wrong last year went wrong. And we went into a revenue decline. And given the situation of the company, once the revenue declines, our costs are almost manpower related, 75-80% of the cost other than material or manpower related. So we had a corresponding set of losses. However, what has happened has happened. And let me kind of again share you what are the specific things which we are doing now to really take things forward. So number one is from a cost and operating perspective, we have really tightened the belt. So I must tell you that someone asked the question that in terms of remuneration and how do we manage that? In terms of the senior management of the company and many others, 50% or approximately 50% of our salaries are variable in nature. And if the profit of the company doesn't happen, we do not get paid. So in that sense, we do take a 40 to 50% salary cut in if the year is not good, which was the case in the last year. Even as an example, the independent directors of the board after last year's performance voluntarily took a small pay cut in terms of really showing the solidarity. And entire companies, 20% of the salary is variable, which is linked to the financial performance of the company. So if the company doesn't make profits, we do not pay a variable pay. So in that sense, we have a self-correcting mechanism going forward to make sure that we really take care of stakeholders' interest while being competitive enough to attract the best talent that we need to have in the country. So that's one part. Coming back to the business aspect in terms of, and if you really see the Q1 performance, our operating costs are significantly under control compared to the previous year. Coming back to the business part of the stuff, a lot of things are happening to go in the right direction. Number one, the Indian telecom sector, hopefully the worst is behind. The competitive landscape is now whittled down to 2 or 3 operators who are financially healthy They've been able to raise significant funds. Globally, people are thinking that Indian telecom sector is the right place to invest. And correspondingly, if you see where the investments are going to go, the broadband on mobile, the mobile penetration in the country is almost saturated to 80 or 90%. But the home broadband, the wireline broadband, which is what is needed to give the high quality video services that we are now all wanting to have at our homes, will require a significant investment in the fixed wireless broadband infrastructure, And that is the part where our company comes into the play. We've already in the last 3 or 4 months made significant progress in terms of being selected by the Indian telcos. And we believe that going forward, this will present us a very good opportunity for business. Second, the whole clarion call of Atmanirbhar Bharat in this whole emerging geopolitical situation, which you are all painfully aware of, is really creating an opportunity for our company where we want design and made in India products that can be trusted, products that we can be having entire supply chain within the country. And Tejas as a company, with all the R&D investments we have made over the 20-year period, actually cover a very large part of what a telecom equipment network needs. So we have the optical fiber transmission equipment, which builds the high capacity backbones. We now have the equipment for home broadband, and we also have the fixed wireless equipment for giving you mobile base station kind of connectivity. So all those 3 things we have. And then the international part, again, has started to play out very well for us. We have started the year with a good traction in terms of international business. And we do believe that with worldwide concerns around equipment coming from one particular country, either on security reasons or from a supply chain surety or assurance reasons, there is a natural reaction where in the customers or in the countries where we already have a presence, we have an opportunity to increase our market share into those countries. And we do believe that that's an opportunity which will come. So as a combination between the India market really starting to take off for a hopefully a 3 to 5 year capex cycle, especially in the part of the business that we are in, the international markets really retuning themselves to have diversity of supply chain, which augurs well for us, and the fact that we have a right kind of products which are world class, which have been created with Indian innovation, Indian R&D, and are second to none in the world, and combined with the fact that we have a strong balance sheet, the 4 things together, in a sense, is creating a very favorable environment, and we are really excited about the opportunities ahead of us. And I can assure you that in the years to come or quarters to come, we should see a better financial performance for our company. Coming back to the second gentleman's question about, what is the relationship we have with a PSU like Bharat Electronics. We have signed up a relationship with them for rolling out the Kerala fiber optic network. Some of that network rollout has already started to happen this year, and it should get completed during the year. And the second question is about the strategic partnership. What does it exactly mean? So if you really see that there's a lot of government projects in smart cities, in defense, in naval networks, air force networks, all kind of things which are coming in, where there is a need for trusted, secured, indigenous, high quality and high complexity telecom equipment. And to the extent that we have those equipments, I will be very happy to offer those products to Bharat Electronics, which is a great system integrator for Indian defense and others. Coming back to the last question, someone asked about the 5G ecosystem emerging in the country and some of the other announcements we have been made. So 2 things we should read out of those announcements and what's happening in terms of the environment around us. Number 1, India as a country has now become very serious that it is high time that as a developing country or rather as a global major power that we aspire to be, we have to have control on critical technologies like telecom. And the fact that the largest company in India said that India has the capabilities to build its own 5G ecosystem. And I really enforce the word ecosystem. And we are a part of that ecosystem. We are providers of products to all the telecom operators in the country. And as a leading R&D driven company from India, I'm sure that the Indian ecosystem will collaborate with each other. And really, we will be creating a third force in the world, which will be from India for the world, which will be Indian telecom technology for the rest of the world. That, I think, almost answers all the different questions that I had. There are a few others, Bala, that you would like to touch upon.
There are a few other questions about the CSR. CSR, we are mandated to spend 2% of last 3 years' average profits, which we cannot reduce. We had spent that money in various initiatives, including COVID-19 related initiatives in Karnataka. There was a suggestion to spend it in Chennai. let's take the suggestion and see what we can do. On professional charges, why it has gone up? I think there were some legal and professional charges related to some of our issues we face with the income tax department. There is nothing extraordinary about that. And even the bad days were in the normal course of business. And somebody asked about what is so great about having cash and being zero debt. I think it's very important because cash is not king. Cash is God. There are several companies which have gone down, not because they don't have a great product. It has gone down because they don't have liquidity. They don't have cash to sustain the business. I think we have sufficient cash in the balance sheet to sustain our business and take the opportunities which is in front of us. And being zero debt gives you more confidence. I think when you have a business risk, you don't add a financial risk because the company has got both financial risk and business risk. The chances of the company getting impacted more is very high. We can manage the business risk, not a financial risk. So being a zero debt gives us much more confidence to invest and take on the opportunities in front of us. I think we answered almost all the questions. If there's anything, you can send us an email. We can send you the replies.
Thank you, Bala.
That's it.
So there are a couple of more questions.
There are a couple of questions came through email. Let us flash it and probably we can answer those.
First, Arnab's question.
Let him answer. The questions on.
She's just flashing it. Take a second.
Yeah. The first question is, in light of telco consolidation, 5G, interest on Huawei ban, does our company have the intent, capability and capacity to take advantage all three and grow revenue? Arnab can answer.
Yeah.
That.
Yes. Hi, this is Arnab Roy, CEO of Tejas Networks. So the answer is yes, our company has the incumbency, the track record, the products, as well as the capability to take advantage of all these positive macro factors. Post the telco consolidation in India, we are already an incumbent supplier in all the telcos. So their growth should automatically translate into growth for our own business. In terms of 5G, we are addressing multiple elements in 5G. So first of all, 5G will lead to large-scale densification of towers and fiber network and will require high capacity and low latency backhaul and front haul over optical fiber. Our optical transmission products and access products are 5G ready, which would be used for servicing this demand. And the other aspect of 5G is that fixed wireless access is one of the top applications and use cases of 5G. And over the past few years, we have invested in developing our own 5G ready base stations, which are targeted for fixed wireless based solutions for broadband services. So that's how we see 5G as a major opportunity for our products and business.
Okay. What is the second question? Very few homes in India have wired high-speed broadband connection. With work from home and online classes, does it directly benefit our company's business? Again, Arnab, you can answer this.
Yes, it directly benefits our business in two ways. So firstly, our GPON-based fiber to the home products are directly used for deploying high-speed broadband services over fiber. So we had deployed these products based on this technology for BharatNet, and a new version of the same has been selected by multiple leading private operators in India for home broadband deployment. And secondly, the increased broadband traffic in the network will also drive upgradation in the backbone networks, where our scalable Metro Core products are being used.
Okay, what is the third one? In context of Atmanirbhar Bharat, our country should make a large part of the telecom equipment needed. What role is Tejas playing in this? Sanjay, you can answer this.
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, that our whole foundation of the company has been design and make in India. So we've been actually practicing for this for almost 20 years now. Over the years, with all the investments we have made, I'm very happy to say that we have created end-to-end products which can be used to pretty much build all the high-speed, high-capacity fiber optic backbones of the country. We have the capabilities in the country with Tejas, where all the optical transmission equipment that is needed in the country can be provided by us. So that's one part. The second part is with home broadband that Arnav mentioned a few minutes back. Again, we have created products. So the next phase of growth for wireline broadband, again, we have the right products which are globally competitive to address that. The third segment is the switches and routers, Ethernet switches and routers. And that's again very security sensitive. So over the years, we have taken the same technology and created these products which are being used for defense, video surveillance, smart cities, and many other applications. And the fourth part, which is going to become very relevant, and again, it was again a question someone else asked, that what are we doing about 5G? So in the context of 4G and 5G, fixed wireless access is a very important thing. And again, Tejas team has developed our own base stations for wireless, which can give those services. And in fact, some of you might have read in the newspapers a few weeks back that India as a country has contributed to the global 5G standards. I'm again very proud to say that people from Tejas, including our Chief Technology Officer, Dr. Kumar Shivarajan, and few other members of the team, were a part of the core group which created the standard from India for the world. So we are taking all kinds of approaches and making everything that we can and really well leveraged to make sure that we can rise to the challenge of Atmanirbhar Bharat and create a situation where India can become self-reliant in this critically and strategically important telecom sector.
Okay. Next person. You have been talking about opportunities in India and globally for some time now. Looking at your performance last year, what is...
Maybe Bala, you can summarize. I kind of mentioned this already.
No, I think, look, if you look at our business, there are three major parts of our business. One is domestic business, mostly government related, and government domestic business related to private sector, and then the international business. Last year was a difficult year because the Indian economy has been slowing down. It impacted the spending from the government. So there was a huge drop in government revenues. Second, the telecom sector in India was stressed, both regulatory-wise and financial-wise. So it impacted the spending. And third, of course, at the end of the year, we had the COVID-19 situation. And we had clearly articulated how do we want to de-risk our business. In the next few years, we want the international business to contribute at least 50% of the revenue. We started actively investing in our international markets. Today, we opened up markets in Africa, Asia. We're going to North America. We hired some local sales talent in those markets, and we are doubling down on our investment in all these markets. Hopefully, in the next few years, we would have a de-risk business with more than 50% of our revenue coming from international markets. At the same time, our core market, the Indian market, a lot of things have changed in the last few months. COVID-19 situation had increased the consumption of data in India. It is like the demonetization impact for the wallet companies, the digital wallet companies in India. So suddenly you are seeing a surge in data consumption in India that is resulting in huge investment happening from the domestic players, the private players, and also the government clearly understands that if we really want to build a digital India, they have to spend more money in creating the digital ecosystem. And that is where Tejas plays a role. And in international markets, since we are spending more money, we are seeing good growth coming from international markets. Even in the last year, we're seeing good growth happening in international markets. And we believe in the next few years, more than 50% of revenues come from international markets. And add to all that, we have the ability to spend and take advantage of the opportunities in front of us. That is where a strong cash position plus a zero debt status helps us to invest and take those opportunities. So if you look at all these events, and of course the China factor, right? Because of the geopolitical situation, India is more talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat. To the extent the competition is less, and also we have the right product for the market, and even our international clients, they are looking at de-risking the country, and Tejas can play a larger role in that. So for the first time, I think all the stars are getting aligned for our business. We have the right product. We are right in. There are a lot of opportunities right in front of us. We have financially strong to take care of those opportunities. So I think last year was an exceptional year. We all understand that. But going forward, we believe that we are in the right market with the right product, and the market opportunities are large, and hopefully we'll be showing better performance in the next few years. Thank you. I think this completes all the questions from shareholders. And let me come to the last item of the agenda. Today we had 70 members participating in the 20th annual general meeting. That is more than the quorum required. We are grateful to all our shareholders who have participated through the video conferencing. Let me now come to the last item on the agenda. The Board of Directors appointed Mr. Dwaraknath C., Company Secretary in practice, as a scrutinizer for the e-voting process. I hope all of you have gone and taken part in the polling. Further, I hereby authorize Ravi, the Company Secretary, to declare the results of the voting and place the results on the website of the company at the earliest. The resolutions, as set forth in the notice, shall be deemed to be passed today, subject to receipt of the requisite number of votes. Further, the combined results of remote e-voting and electronic voting at the venue, along with the scrutinizer's report, shall be communicated to the stock exchanges. The results shall also be placed on websites of both the company and the NSDL. All the items of today's AGM has now been transacted. Thank you for attending the meeting. With this, I formally conclude the annual general meeting. Thank you.